It's time to pull up a chair and have coffee with Kim. Coffee with Kim is sponsored by Boyer Territory, a real estate company in Hillsboro, Ohio. And now, Kim Boyer.
Good morning, folks, and welcome back to Coffee with Kim. This is episode 17, and our topic today is believe. And because it's this time of year, we are in that space between Christmas and New Year. I was thinking about the Christ child and how we believe in him and how we celebrate this time of year. In Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 6 in the Message translation, it says, "It's impossible to please God apart from faith." And why? Because anyone who wants to approach God must believe that he exists and that he cares enough to respond to those who seek him. And so folks who don't believe, or they doubt, or they say that stuff just doesn't work for me, they're right, because you must believe in it for it to work. It makes me think of the wise men, or the magi. These fellows were astrologers or astronomers. They were all in the same group back then. They were also believers. They studied the stars, and they believed that when the unusual star, or what we now call the Bethlehem star, appeared, it would point the way to the Christ child. And if you were a stargazer this past week, then you saw the Star of Bethlehem as well. And I don't know if it has a special significance, but I'm thinking it probably does. And we really need some hope and to believe in something good during this time. We've been through a lot this year. So they watched for the star to appear and point the way to the Christ child. We think there were three men. They've been referred to as kings, astrologers, or magi, which is where we get our word magic from. Also, the Bible doesn't really say how many men, but there were three gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So we assume there were three men because there were three gifts. Now, they were believed to be a very rich men and very high in society. And so they were studying the stars, and they saw the unusual star appear. They started their journey to find the Christ child under that star. By the time they reached him, he was between 1 and 2 years old. Now, that was a long journey. So they were patient in waiting for the star. Then they were diligent on their journey to the star. Then they searched for the child once they got to where the star was. They asked Herod the king if he knew where the child was. And he said, "No, but please, if you find him, let me know, because I'd like to worship him too." Well, that was a lie. Herod was lying because he knew the story that this child was to be born a king, and Herod didn't understand what would happen, and he felt threatened that someone was going to take his throne, so he had all of the children 2 years and younger killed. So there was no chance that that child would take his throne. But after they found Jesus and they brought their gifts and they worshiped him, they were warned in a dream not to return to Herod, so they left a different way. So there again, they believed. They believed the instruction that they received in a dream, and they spared Jesus' life at the time. Now, this is one of the meanings of that scripture that says, "You've been faithful over a few things, and I'll make you ruler over many things." In other words, God is saying, if you'll believe me and follow this path that I have laid out for you, for your life, I'll lead you to greater things, more meaningful, more peaceful, more complete, the abundant life. I'm understanding more and more that the abundant life is a life of peace and rest. The more you can believe, the richer it gets. The deeper it gets, the more meaningful it gets. So what does it mean to believe God or be obedient in the small things? How do you start? Well, you start by reading the Word, learning His truths, making Him the Lord of your life. If you mess up, start again. There's a scripture that talks about calling him Lord and making him Lord of your life. You say, "You're the Lord of my life." Only a believer can say that. Someone who doesn't believe that he is won't be able to say that. So it's like a little true test. He wants you to learn and grow, learn to rest, learn to trust, learn to believe. How do we do this? Start where you are. We all have different backgrounds and different beliefs. So start with this truth. Believe that God exists, and believe that he cares enough to respond to those who seek him. Another translation says, those who diligently seek him. So don't give up. The wise men sought him until they found him. Maybe you've tried seeking him and you just don't feel like you found him. Or maybe you're seeking an experience with him and you haven't done that yet. My experience with him lets me know that he definitely cares about the little things in my life. So that lets me know that he also cares about the big things too. When he answers the little prayers, it causes you to believe that he'll answer the big prayers too. And one of the things that causes me to believe that he cares about my life is when in the past I've been praying about something big, what I believe to be something big, and it just seems like the answer wasn't coming. But in the meantime, I have other little things happening in my life, and I'm trusting God for the little things, and he seems to answer those pretty quickly. It causes me to have more patience and to be able to lean on him and to lean into him and just trust and have peace and have patience and wait. And I've talked about this before. There may be scriptures that stand out to you that are real easy for you to believe and truths for you to stand on. And for me, a couple of the scriptures, one of mine is in 2 Kings chapter 6. I call it the Make It Float prayer. And this is constantly building my faith and causing me to trust more and more all the time. It's just a little something that I use to help find things. I believe that there's nothing lost to God. He knows where everything is. So if we're a son of God, then we should know where it is too. So I pray this prayer found in 2 Kings chapter 6 when something's lost. And most of the time, I find it or someone finds it. I got about a 98% return rate. But just the other day, my youngest daughter's really good friend lost a very expensive pair of sunglasses that she had just bought. She hadn't even got to wear them. And she texted me and said, Zita said that I should just text you and you would text me back and tell me where it's at. I said, it doesn't really work exactly like that, but I'll pray and we'll find them. And sometimes I see a picture of something that helps us find them. And every time I prayed about these sunglasses, I thought they were beside a light blue purse. And she said, well, I don't have a light blue purse. And I was like, well, do you have a backpack or a bag or something that's light blue? And she said, no. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just keep praying and I'll let you know if I think of anything else. But I looked for it. I looked all around our house because she'd been to our house. And I looked in Zita's car and we couldn't find it. And so a few days had passed. And I was starting to get a little bit discouraged. And I'm like, Lord, come on now. I've got a good rate going here, helping people find things. And why can't we find this? And still, every time I prayed, I got a little picture of the sunglasses beside a light blue purse. And I'm like, I don't know anybody with a light blue purse at this time. And I was just praying. So one evening last week, I went to town with Zita. And when she ran into the store, I put something in her glove box for her, and there was a pair of sunglasses in there in the case. And when she got back in the car, I said, are those Taryn's? And she said, yes. And look, they're laying right on top of a really small light blue change purse that she kept in her car. So God was true the whole time, and I was getting anxious because we couldn't find it, but it just let me know He spoke the truth to me from the beginning, and I just had to believe Him and trust Him and rest in that and be patient until we found it. Be patient until it comes. And that just causes me to think, He cares about a pair of sunglasses that we care about. So He cares about the big, weighty issues that are going on in our lives. So don't lose hope, and pray and act on what God gives you. Be patient, be diligent, be on your journey, to find the Christ child or the answer that you need. So I'm going to leave you today with We Three Kings, of course, since we've talked about that. And this version is by Alexander Jean, featuring Casey Abrams, and he was an American Idol favorite. So be blessed this week, and be patient, and trust the Lord for your blessings at the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021. Peace and blessings.
So far, field and found in more and mountain, following yonder star. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light.
Born a king on Bethlehem's plain, gold I'll bring to crown him again. King forever, ceasing never, over us all to reign. Frankincense to offer have I, incense on the deity night. Prayer and praising, all men praising, worshiping God on high. Yeah.
More is mine, its bitter perfume, breeze of life, of gathering gloom, sorrowing, sighing, bleeding day, sealed in a stone cold tomb. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Glorious now, behold him arise, King and God and sacrifice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Sounds through the earth and sky, following yonder star.
You've been listening to Coffee with Kim. If you have comments or thoughts on today's topic, you may email us at coffeewithkim@hotmail.com. or write us at P.O. Box 996, Hillsboro, Ohio 45133. Be sure to visit Boyer Territory, a real estate company, at www.boyerterritory.com. Join us again next Sunday at this time for Coffee with Kim.